yesterday's IPL showdown, Kolkata Knight Riders clinched a remarkable victory over Delhi Capitals, securing their third consecutive win of the season. With an impressive 106 margin, Kolkata's commanding performance saw them post a formidable total of 272 runs before restricting Delhi to just 166 runs, marking a significant triumph for the team after a 3-year hiatus from defeating Delhi. Turning to today's clash, the Gujarat Titans are set to take on Punjab Kings at their home ground in Ahmedabad, with Gujarat securing victories in 2 out of the 3 matches this season and Punjab facing a consecutive series of defeats. Anticipation and high for this match seems to be an intense battle as both teams vie for supremacy on IPL stage. Well, interesting, nice word, vying for supremacy, but at the same time, what happened yesterday? Paul Dinette, I've got 3 of the lovely foreign friends of ours, some bloggers, some former officials with ECB, and one an absolute gem. Who's a part of the media as well as broadcasting, sports, and now a very astute voice and pithy voice from England. But first, the man from down under, the crowded house, loving Paul Dinette. Paul, I can't hear you. You've got to come in a little. Yes. Go on, Paul. What happened yesterday? 272? Is this becoming a kind of a...
So I haven't seen Spencer Johnson bowl, but I did see... Who was the fast bowler, Yadav, who yes. bowled 97 miles an hour, I think it was, yesterday?
Mayank. Mayank Yadav. Yeah, he looks... I wouldn't be surprised if they rush him into the test side for the next Australian tour.
They have to after that, I think. Yeah, I think they'll straight into the T20 World Cup. He'll make the World Cup squad.
Let's make it a little more chatty. Let's make this discussion
as opposed
a little
to the
more...
other Yadav playing today hasn't been very good at all.
Go on, David Brooks.
Yeah, he's at the other end of his career. But yeah, this guy looks... Well, what's freakish about him is that normally when they're that quick, they spray it everywhere. But he seems to bowl it like... he's got a bit of that sort of Curtly Ambrose, Jofra Archer, where he's quick within himself. He doesn't have to strain every sinew to get it to extreme speed.
Well, I'm not sure if my guests are hearing what I'm saying.
A divine quality, I think.
When he got the one he got Mitchell Marsh with was,
Well, that's our PCR there
decent
for us.
ball.
Apparently, Jofra is bowling pretty quick at the moment in practice games, and so I think they're looking to get him into the...
Well, guys, you've got to raise your hands if you hear what I'm saying, so it becomes like easier for us to understand. Welcome to the Indian PCR technology. Well, this is an interesting part of the game today. 3 of our good friends are here. In fact, we were privy to their personal conversation happening, and that went on live on air, but it was good fun. Do you think 272? Terry Blake, no problems, don't worry. We didn't hear the cuss word that came on from you, or David Brooks. Especially when he talks to an Aussie, it's very difficult. Yes, that's where we are, but it was all fun. Terry Blake, you're you're a very statesman-like person and a very erudite cricket watcher. What was your view when you were watching 272 runs being scored in the last fortnight? Your views? Terry Blake.
Well, I mean, Nareen was impeccable yesterday. He's really a switch hitter, but he came in up the order, and they had 3 players who were going well over 200, Nareen and Raghuvanshi, who I'd never seen before, and of course, Andre Russell as well. And when you start posting scores in excess of 250, you're not going to get chased down very often.
Well, absolutely, and that's what happened. David Brooks, 272, and the comparison was 166. What is Delhi playing up to? What's wrong with Delhi? Aren't you asking the question? Like you were asking in the World Cup, what's wrong with England?
Well, I know Ricky Ponting's asking that question. He's called it an embarrassing performance. I mean, there was no there didn't seem to be any communication between Pant and the bowlers. Didn't seem to be a game plan as to how to contain Narine. I mean, he's never done that much with the bat. Never gone on to score that many. His highest score, isn't it, in T20 cricket?
Right.
So you have to ask questions about how he managed to concede that amount to him. And yeah, there did seem a lack of communication at times between no game plan. And I think that's what upset Ponting more than anything else. They didn't seem to have a plan. But you think with all the strategic timeouts, there could have been some communication between the coach. So, Paul, I hold Ricky Ponting responsible.
Absolutely. Let's get the Aussies to defend that. Do you think that the Aussies are running away? I think they seem to be having the lock, the keys of the lock, which has all the dollars from IPL. Are they entitled?
Hey, Sunil. Well, I think that there's a bit of chatter on social media that Australians only seem to perform well when they're playing against India, not when they're actually playing in India. And I was heartened that Mitchell Starc finally got a couple of wickets in this tournament, but I do note the fact that it was the two Aussies that he got out. So, yes, I think the Australians' reputation's suffering a bit. Hopefully tonight, Trevor Bayliss' coach, Punjab, can get a win for us.
Absolutely. So what's wrong with the Aussie stock right now?
It's a good one. I really don't know. I mean, I suppose someone like Mitchell Marsh, he's the sort of guy that he's a very clean striker of the ball, and when he gets going, he looks absolutely unbelievable. His overall test batting record's a little bit more modest. I think maybe his hand-eye coordination vastly better than mine, but it's not maybe quite at the level of some of these top-level players. So, yeah, not saying at all that he's a flat-track bully, but I'm still optimistic that the Aussies will come through with the goods as the tournament progresses.
How do you react to a chatter when it comes that Siraj has hit more sixes than Maxwell, and Maxwell has taken more wickets than Siraj? What do you make of that?
Well, I mean, I'll take the positives from that and say that Maxwell, even when he's not performing with the bat, does tend to perform. He's an underrated bowler, Maxwell. I don't think Australia give him enough overs. But yeah, there was an IPL about 5 years ago where he had an absolute shocker the entire way through this tournament. And I'm just about his biggest fan, but he does seem to do that. There are times when he's almost too talented. He's capable of hitting so many balls for six that he needs to probably shelve his ego and knock it around. I'd put it into his contract that he has to face 10 balls, and even if he's 5 off 10, only then play his full range of reverse hits and go from there. Because you look at his overall strike rate, it's really high. It probably needs to come down slightly and his average rise up a little bit.
Absolutely. And how do you defend Ricky Ponting's performance as a coach? Go on, defend the indefensible.
Well, I'll defend it by saying whenever you hear him commentate, his knowledge of the game is second to none. His insight is second to none. And they always said, whenever he went back from Australian playing to playing for Tasmania in the odd game, he would lift the team with his enthusiasm for fielding training, and he was a wonderful presence. He has everything that will make him a wonderful coach. The only thing so far in the way...
David Brooks, just come in here and say, are you inspired by Ricky Ponting's performance as a coach? Go on.
I was waiting to see what was going to be the saving grace of Ricky Ponting in Paul's last sentence there, but I think that he hasn't got, as a coaching track record, it's not brilliant, is it, at the moment? And, I'd rather favour Justin Langer as a coach over Ricky Ponting. It's not always the case that the people who make good analysts and commentators are necessarily the best coaches.
Yes.
I enjoy Ricky Ponting's commentary.
Shastri being an exception, one of the exceptions.
Oh, yes. Ravi Shastri is an enormous exception to that. But Ponting hasn't quite delivered yet, has he? And I'm not sure what rapport he's got with his players. I'm backing him because I want to see Pant do well in this tournament. But I think the inspiration has to come from within. It's not going to come from Ponting at the moment.
Absolutely. Well, in today's match, you've got 29 matches have been played in this venue. The team winning the toss has won only 13, and the team losing the toss has won 16. Is it a good toss to lose, David Brooks? Then I'll come to Terry Blake.
I don't know. I fancy whoever bats second today will win the game. It's a tight one to call. So I think I think the toss is going to be important. I mean, I know what the stats are saying, but as far as this tournament, this game today,
Right.
I think whoever wins the toss will take second knock. And I think I'd rather be chasing today than batting first.
Terry Blake, Gujarat Titans has Shubman Gill, Sai Sudarshan, David Miller, and the aging Riddhiman Saha, the Indian wicketkeeper now. Of course, Saha has not converted good starts into big knocks, but he's been there around the fences, giving important edge to the guys. But tell me, what is your view on David Miller, Sai Sudarshan and Shubman Gill? Terry Blake.
Well, I mean, they're keeping out Kane Williamson and Matthew Wade as well from the starting lineup. I doubt there'll be any changes, and they're very, very accomplished players. David Miller, a bit like Andre Russell, very, very dangerous in the down the order a little bit. Going back to the toss, I gather that they might be using a red soil pitch today, which might favour the batsman a little bit more,
Yes.
particularly in the second innings. And so I would agree. The toss may not be crucial, but maybe chasing today would be better. And the Titans have 1-1 chasing and 1-1 batting first. So I'm not sure how important the toss is, but I think chasing would be a good option today.
Absolutely. We've had a great laugh. Whenever the Aussies go down, David is the first one to pull out his dagger. Now let's look at the English players. Overpaid, underperforming for their country, but in IPL 2. Let's look at Punjab Kings, Sam Curran, Liam Livingstone, and David Brooks' favorite guy, Johnny Bairstow. Paul Dinette, now it's your time to square up with David Brooks. Go on.
Well, it's a bit hard because they're performing much better than the Aussies. Even Johnny Bairstow's getting some runs in the last game. Sam Curran has always been one of my favourite cricketers. There was a stat for a while there whenever he played a test match, England seemed to win. He's been slightly disadvantaged by the fact that he's 3/4 of a great bowler and 3/4 of a great batter. And sometimes we're actually chatting off air. I'm not sure if this made the made the cut, but we're talking about the challenges that the impact sub has made for players who are very versatile. Livingston, I think, has got a slight quadricep strain, but I believe that he's going to play. Fantastic player. Probably should be given a bit of a bowl as well. But yeah, the English are far ahead of the Aussies on this front.
Well, absolutely. Johnny Bairstow. I mean, Paul made a very interesting, very sarcastic undertone, saying even Johnny Bairstow is scoring runs. David Brooks, what's happening with the English players?
Well, yeah, the signs of promise, green shoots from Johnny Bairstow. Yeah, he's had a dismal run in India, but he got that 40-odd and looked good. I mean, the fact that he hasn't played an innings over 50 balls for a long time. Is he due a big one? Possibly. Livingston, I'm not convinced of as a batting, superstar. And in fact, I would be tempted to play Riley Russo over Livingston, particularly if Livingston's carrying an injury, as is being reported. Sam Curran, he got a duck in the last game, didn't he? He didn't come to the party there, but he's useful with the ball, could do something with the bat. You find some weaknesses in both teams. I mean, Shikhar Dhawan hit some lovely form in the last game, so that might give them the edge. I've been disappointed for the Titans that Shubman Gill hasn't gone on to get a big score. You'd think after the Test series he would be prime, ready to go, but he's got third scores 75 in 3 innings, hasn't really done much yet. So those opening positions going to be absolutely crucial. Who's going to be the best opening partnership today? Will it be Gill and Saha, or is it more likely to be Dhawan and Bairstow? And I think I'm favouring the latter.
Well, absolutely. You're favouring the latter. Very interesting word when we heard your conversation about Yadav as well, off-air conversation. Do you think he's going the Jofra Archer way? He's just creating surround sound everywhere in the world, whether it's your Wasim Akrams of the world, the former great fast bowlers. Everybody seems to be getting excited by him. Terry Blake, do you think, I know David Brooks is a great supporter of Jofra Archer. Do you think we need to handle him well now? Or he goes the Jofra Archer way?
No, I think at the T20 World Cup, you'll see more and more really fast bowlers being played. And that's why someone like Sam Curran has got to fight for his place in the England T20 World Cup team. There's talk of Jamie Overton, who bowls over 90 miles an hour, replacing Ben Stokes, who's not going to play in this next edition. Mark Wood might get a shout as well. And Jofra Archer, if he's in form, we were talking about the players like Yadav who come in without any seeming effort and just rhythmically come in and bowl at 95 miles an hour. They are going to be the match winners, I think, down in Australia.
David, what's the update with Jofra Archer and Sam Curran's thing? Would you agree that even he is fighting for his place in the World Cup for England?
I think for the reasons Terry said, Sam Curran may have a problem getting into the team. He has a good IPL, that's going to help him a lot, I'm sure. Regarding Jofra, all eyes on his start of the cricket season here in England, and he's done he has been racking up some good performances in the practice matches. I wonder whether he'll get a game in the first County Championship match starts tomorrow, would you believe, in the freezing cold of April. I don't think he will see him. He'll be wrapped up in cotton wool, and they'll be hoping that he gets into form in time for that World Cup. So I wouldn't rule him out. Regarding Mayank Yadav, I think very exciting to see someone breaking through like that. And it's interesting that he said he doesn't want to be known as the fastest bowler. He wants to be known as a really good bowler. And I think that's something that he can learn from the Jofra Archer experience with England, where it was all about his speed gun. It was all about what pace he was bowling, whereas he'd achieved his success more like Courtney Walsh by sort of moving the ball around and doing all sorts of things with it, not just relying on extreme pace. Because if you just rely on extreme pace, your career is going to be a short one.
Absolutely. Any examples that come to your mind, David, in the recent past, last 2 decades?
Well, I mean, I think Jofra is the key warning sign for Mayank Yadav. Obviously, everyone's excited at the moment about his pace, and he's young enough. He's got a nice action, as we were saying off air. He's got it all on it. Yeah, he's got a really smooth action, and he seems to be a very calm, composed individual. So I think he's just coming through at the right time, and I'm sure the selectors will rush him through into the Indian team.
Well, Paul Dinett.
Yeah, Paul.
Go on, Terry.
Sorry.
Terry, go on.
Paul was saying earlier that they might rush Yadav into the Test team in Australia. The only warning I would say is that Joe Root once overbowled Jofra Archer so much in a Test match in New Zealand on a fairly flat and slow pitch that I think it did quite a lot of damage to his body. So you've got to look after these youngsters. I think Jofra Archer won't just be wrapped in cotton wool. He'll be wrapped in blankets and duvets until the sun starts shining in the middle of May.
Maybe he needs to come back to India and spend more time here. But Paul, coming on to you in today's context of the match, just throw light on the two teams, apple to apple, oranges to oranges. What do you make of the entire team put together? Over to you.
I suppose I think that Gujarat are maybe the better bowling side, and potentially Punjab are the better batting side. I'm a big fan of the Titans. I'm quite impressed that they were 2 seasons. They won one. They've finished top of the table in the second. I was actually listening to a podcast before last season where the so-called experts were talking about how they tend to win a lot of the close games, and they're saying eventually the law of averages will prevail and they'll come back to the field. Well, they haven't shown any signs of coming back to the field just yet. But I think that any side with Rashid Khan in there, they've got a trio of very impressive Afghan players. I think that gives them the slight edge. And I think that maybe some of the PK bowlers, or the Punjab King bowlers, Arshdeep and Harshal and Chahar, are probably looking for a little bit more from them at this stage of the tournament. So I'd narrowly give it to Gujarat.
Well, it's Gujarat as they have. But what about Kings 11 Punjab? Let's talk a little bit about Shikhar Dhawan, the skipper himself. He's been into a tremendous form in the past, but he hasn't been able to convert big starts. David Brooks, this question is to you. Shikhar Dhawan hasn't been able to multiply the runs that he's made, 20s into 50s and 50s into 70s, in considering the kind of luxury of time he has. David, what's going wrong with Shikhar Dhawan? Do you think he still has a little bit of TNT left in him, or is he just waltzing into the sunset of his career?
I think it's too easy to write these players off too early. There's plenty more life in Shikhar Dhawan. As we saw in his last innings, he did get to 70 admittedly in a losing cause. But he looked like his timing was coming back, and he looks like he's getting into form. So I was going to pick him out as the key player today. If he can get the Kings off to a good start, then I would back them to win today. But I think he's moving in the right direction. So too early to write him off. His last innings, I thought he was looking like he was back to his best.
Do you think, just David, just a hypothetical question, considering he goes on to score in a belligerent fashion that he does, do you think he still has a chance to make the cut for the World Cup, considering he's in the top 3 scorers in this edition?
I don't think so. I think there's too much competition. And I think the Indian selectors will think that's a backward step. There's just too many people fighting for those places. So, no, I think he can concentrate on his IPL captaincy and making sure that he has a really good tournament. And, today's a good as any time to show what he's capable of. So
you're backing the Punjab Kings 11. You're backing Shikhar Dhawan to come out great. Paul Dinette.
Well, yeah, as I say, I did put the qualifier, Sunil, that I think the toss is going to be important today. As Terry said about the red soil wicket. So I think whoever chases will win the game, but a lot will depend on Dhawan. Yeah, if Kings chase, they'll win the game.
All right, let's move on to Paul Dinette. Paul, who's your favourite today?
I'm tipping Gujarat. As I said, Rashid Khan. Also, Mohit Sharma, I'm quite impressed with his second incarnation. Speaking of the World Cup, there's even some chatter. I was on Reddit today that people are talking about maybe he should make the Indian side for the World Cup. I think he's an outsider there as well. So I favour Gujarat Titans, but not with any great confidence with my tipping record.
Absolutely. Yeah, considering you've gone wrong on more than 3 occasions. But Terry, you are an old fox here. You've seen it all, been there, done that. Just put your prediction. Or are you going to go with David Brooks?
I am. I went with Punjab in the previous match and they lost. I think this time, particularly if they bat second, as David said, I'm going to go with Punjab and the posse of Englishmen. But it should be a tight match, I think.
Well, absolutely. That's what we hope for. We want to see some high-playing, high-scoring matches, very intensely played competition between the two teams at perhaps the biggest stadium of cricket in the world. Well, that's all we had time for. I thank all my foreign guests from joining from both sides of the Atlantic.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.